Hello everybody, I'm Eric Walker for AllForSciFi.com, and welcome to the very first review of Season 2 of The Mandalorian. And as you can see, I have the child right here next to me, and Mr. Din Djarin. This is the latest one. This is the Din Djarin's version with the Beskar armor, so it's the very latest one. It's looks like the yellow series. It's actually number 1 in this series. But we're not here today to talk about these toys. We're here today to review Chapter 9, Episode 1 of Season 2. And wow, I think my face says it all about how great it is. So we're going to go ahead and give it a very official All4Sci-Fi rating. At All4Sci-Fi, we have a rating of 0 to 5 stars. 5 stars is the best. If it's 3 stars or below, we don't recommend you stream it, and if it's a movie, in that case, we don't recommend you go to the theaters, although the theaters are still opening up with this pandemic happening. But it looks really good. This season really looks promising. It looks like Jon Favreau and Mr. Dave Filoni are really making this a very fan-friendly episode, and there are so many Easter eggs already right from the very beginning. Even the very opening shot where Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, is walking through the streets with the child. Immediately, there's Easter eggs even on the wall. On the graffiti on the wall, you see stormtroopers, and you see a shot of a graffiti version of C-3PO. So, I mean, from the very beginning, they're putting in lots and lots of Easter eggs in this. And we're going to talk about that and give it the official rating. Let's go ahead and do the rating first, and then we'll get into the discussion and spoilers next. Okay. The official rating for Season 2, Episode 1, Chapter 9, The Marshal, is 4.80 stars. Yep. I couldn't quite give it 5 stars. The last season, there was like maybe 3 or 4 episodes that got a 5-star rating. This one I'm giving 4.80 stars. And it's really good. I recommend you stream it. The child didn't have too much in this episode. He kind of was just a sidekick, but it was a really great episode. Let's go ahead and get into the discussion and talk about the episode now. Okay, it starts off, at the beginning you see a recap of Season 1. And then now the new season starts, and you see Din Djarin with the child walking through the streets of this city. And as they're walking by, like I mentioned earlier, you do get to see on the graffiti on the wall, you see C-3PO, you see stormtroopers, and they come up to this darkly lit area, and Din says that he's here to see the boss. And the person go ahead and let him in, and he says enjoy the fights. So Din walks down, and he's in an area where there's some fights going on, and the fights are these Gamorrean guards that are fighting each other. They're pretty skinny to be Gamorrean guards. I'm not too sure if I like Gamorrean guards being skinnier, but let us know in the comments below what you think about the Gamorrean guards being skinnier. I guess in Japanese art, there's the sumo wrestler that are big, and they keep them big. So why couldn't they do that with the Gamorrean guards? Maybe they thought it would have been kind of nasty. I don't know. So, okay, so Din Djarin goes down into in the area where the fights are, and he comes up to this one-eyed Cyclops character who is played by John Leguizamo, the very famous actor from Tu Wong Fu and Young Guns and a whole bunch of other movies. I was very surprised to find out that he played this character, because he did a really good job acting. I didn't think it was kind of out of his zone, but he did a great job on it. And the reason why Din is there is he's trying to get some information. He heard that gentleman had information on the whereabouts of another Mandalorian. So what the Mando's trying to do, Din Djarin, is he's trying to find other Mandalorians to help him with this quest. His quest is to help the child find more people of his kind, or Jedi, so that he could let them raise the child and take care of the baby Yoda. So immediately, of course, the John Leguizamo's character wants to place a bet with Din and said, because he likes his Beskar armor, and he says, I'll bet you your shiny Beskar armor which Gamorrean guard's gonna win. And of course Din says, no, it's not for sale, I'm prepared to pay you for the information. And of course his other character says, no, I don't take it for chance, and he shoots the Gamorrean guard that he wants to lose. And he tells, then after the guy drops dead and he loses the fight, he looks at Din Djarin and says, I want that Beskar armor. And you either give it to me or I will peel it off your dead corpse. Don't say that to the Mandalorian. Speaking of that, have you noticed my Mando shirt? Proudly wearing it. So, okay, so he says that to him, and of course, Din says, no, either you could let me pay you for the information, or, I'm going to get it from you anyway after I kill you. So, of course, that the other character says, I thought you weren't a betting man. So, some comedy going back and forth there. So, a big fight ensues, and of course, he hits his thing right here, which activates it's like angels or night angels. I forgot the name of it from last season, but it's a thing that's going to knock all of them out. The baby notices it and closes the eggshell because he knows Daddy's going to fight. And he hits the button, it knocks out 2 or 3 of them. He gets in a quick fight, and of course, while he's fighting all these guys, the Gamorrean guards and all the rest, the one-eyed Cyclops character, of course, he's running off as this is happening because he knows he can't fight. He's all talk and no action. So Din finally knocks them all out, and then he starts to run after him. He chases him outside, and he uses his Mandalorian rope, grabs him, strings him up to the light post, and says, I'm going to get this information from you either way. And he's of course begging for his life. Don't kill me. And Din Djarin says, I promise you won't die by my hands. Of course, we know what that means. It's going to die anyway, right? But just not by the Mando. So he finally gets the information out of him, and he finds out that the information he had about the whereabouts for the other Mandalorian is he's on Tatooine. Din says, I've been to Tatooine. I have not seen a Mandalorian there. I've been there many, many times. There is not a Mandalorian. He promises him on whatever he blesses or on the holy whatever that, yes, he is there. So the Mando says, okay. So he walks away and he shoots the light out so these creatures go after him, and he's screaming and yelling, and then the credits start. That's the prologue. That's how good this is. Okay, so now the next shot after the credits and the Mandalorian thing comes up, we see the Razor Crest flying over to Tatooine, flying through the desert, and he lands in the same hangar from last season. The lady who played, can't remember her name, the character's name right now, but the one we liked, the comedian that was taking care of the baby and was helping out. And it's great to see, John, that you're using some of the same people over and over that were really good in the first season. She was a great part of season 1, and I think that episode was called The Gunslinger. So she's a great addition. So he lands, and she gets to see the child again, so she's excited about it and happy that she does finally get to see the child again. Thank to heaven he's still okay, and because she loves the child. Who doesn't, right? And he's there. He tells her he's there. He's on a mission, and more Easter eggs happen. He's trying to get to Mos Pelgo, which is a small mining community. He doesn't know where it's at, so she gets R4D5, some more Easter eggs, to come out and show a map, and she shows him a map of Tatooine before the Empire, before the war, and she's explaining to him, and he goes, I don't see Mos Pelgo there. Well, it's there, just believe me, it's part of the mining community. So he asked, do you still have that speeder bike that he left there from before? And yeah, of course, and she lets him use it. So he takes off with the child, and they head off over to go to the small mining community, Mos Pelgo, to try to find this Mandalorian that's there. And okay, of course, when he drives through town, he stops at the bar. He knows better. Let's go ahead and stop at the bar. Okay, so he comes into the bar, and guess who the barkeep is? The barkeep is Weequay, another Easter egg. Come on, all these favorite characters, they're all popping up. So he's talking to Weequay, and he says, is there another one of my kind here? And he says, what do you mean you're kind? He goes, do you have another Mandalorian here? I heard there's a Mandalorian here with armor and all that stuff. And he goes, what do you mean, the Marshal? And he goes, well, the Marshal, what are you talking about? And then he looks over to the side, and the Marshal walks in, the other Mandalorian. And when that happened, I just about passed out, because the Marshal is wearing Boba Fett's outfit. And I think it's Boba Fett. I think the Marshal's Boba Fett for a moment, but he goes and sits down. He grabs some 2 drinks and says, let's go talk about this. And he sits down and he takes his Mandalorian helmet off right away. So we know it's not someone who got it. Somehow he got Boba Fett's armor, because Boba Fett would take his helmet off, right? Well, actually, Boba Fett and I think Sabine and some other ones and Jango Fett and some other ones that weren't part of the Creed, the way it is, they were different. They did do that. Someone pointed that out to me. And also they pointed out to me that in some of the Star Wars books, it talks about it. But we find out that the Marshal, who is played by actor Timothy Olyphant from Santa Clarita's Diet and a whole bunch of other movies, Justified, some other westerns, so he's perfect for the role. We find out, good casting by the way, because he looks like Pierce Brosnan too. So we find out that he says he bought the armor off of some Jawas. And we later find out how he got it off of some Jawas. And he talks about, we get a whole bunch of Easter eggs again. He's talking about how when he was with the Jawas, before that, they have a standoff. And the Mandalorian's really, really pissed off because he's wearing Mandalorian armor and he's not a Mandalorian. So he says, you take that off and give it to me right now so I could return it to the person it belongs to. Of course, Boba Fett. And he says, oh, you want to fight? They get ready to fight and have a duel. And then the ground starts shaking. And that stops them from having this battle together where he's going to take the armor, Boba Fett's armor back. And they walk outside, and the ground's moving, and the creature, I'm thinking it's a creature from Tremors, because I think, what did they put in Tremors in Star Wars? But it's not. It's a crate dragon. So that goes through the town, and at the end of the town, he swallows a bantha whole. And so the Marshal's talking about how the town was terrorized by this crate dragon. And he makes him a deal. If he'll help him kill the crate dragon, he'll just give him the armor. And because it's more important to save the town than have that armor. So Mandalorian says, okay, that's fine. I'll just hop into Razor Crest, fly over there, shoot him out, take a bantha for bait, shoot him out of the sky, and you give me the armor. Of course, Marshall says, no, that the crate dragon could sense when ships are in field of vibration, so that's not going to work. So they both take off, get on their speeders, and of course, and head off to go try to kill this crate dragon. And of course, the Marshal, I couldn't help notice that his speeder reminds me a lot of Anakin Skywalker's. Same type of design, the speeder too. So that's a callback to the very first Star Wars with Anakin Skywalker when he was a kid, and the Phantom Menace. So that was a callback to the Phantom Menace and the prequels. Another Easter egg, another callback. It's not as noticeable, but I noticed it had the same design as Anakin's, his pod racers. So, okay. So they head out and they stop, and when they stop, they stop because they hear some sounds, and then you see these really ugly looking dog lizards, and the Mandalorian makes these sounds like he knows them. He walks up and starts petting this animal. It looks like a dog or a lizard. It's kind of weird, and it's shaking its tail, and but it almost is cute, but it's kind of ugly and disgusting at the same time too. And when the Mandalorian's doing that, the Sand People come out, the Tusken Raiders, and Mandalorian speaks their language. He starts talking to them in whatever their language, whether it's Tusken or whatever, he starts speaking to them. And that language kind of sounds like a cross between a donkey and a dog barking and a couple other different sounds. It's kind of unique. But it's nice to see that they have their own language, and we get to know it a little bit more, and they go and they camp with the Tuskens. The Mando says that the Tuskens the Sand People want to help kill the Krayt Dragon too, because it's been messing with them as well. So that makes perfect sense. So they go ahead and go ahead and camp, and they're talking about it. And the next day they go to where the Krayt Dragon is, and the Krayt Dragon is in this abandoned Sarlacc pit. And the Marshal says, "I've never heard of an abandoned Sarlacc pit." And one of the best lines, the Mandalorian says, "Yeah, there could be an abandoned Sarlacc pit if you killed and eat the Sarlacc." So that's again, more great lines, more great writing. I didn't mention this, but this is the very first episode that Jon Favreau directed. Even though he created the series and he wrote most of the first season, he didn't direct any of the first season. So this is great to see that, Jon, you're directing. That's great. You're doing a great job. And by the way, this Krayt Dragon, I couldn't help notice, it did look like a dragon once I saw more of it. But at first, it looked a lot like the tree monster that bit my hand in Caravan of Courage. When Mace sticks his hand in which Caravan of Courage, by the way, is the first live-action Star Wars series and movie, by the way. Caravan of Courage, which I starred in as Mace, as you know. But it looked kind of like that, but once you got to know it more, you could tell. But I'm wondering in Jon Favreau's mind, did that inspire him, that tree monster? Of course, it's different. Everything's different. Everything's updated, and it's not exactly the same. Even when they used the tree monster in Caravan of Courage, they added eyes to it, because it originally was in Empire Strikes Back when the Millennium Falcon was inside the asteroids in its belly. So they reuse stuff and they redo it, and that's okay. And they make it new and they make it fresh. And one of the things I love the most about The Mandalorian is it reminds me of original Star Wars, the original trilogy. It kind of has that gritty feel, like it's all the worlds are lived in, and has that Western type feel, just like A New Hope and all the other Star Wars stuff. All the worlds have been lived in, and it feels like that. And there's nothing wrong with the prequels that came after that George did. Those are brilliant too, but those were all shiny and new and not like this. Anyway, so they go there, and then they get it to come out, and they're able to see it actually. It actually kills. It doesn't go after the bantha, but it goes after the sand person. And then later they go back and they're trying to devise a plan on how to do it. What are they going to do? And they realize that there's not enough between the Marshal and the Mandalorian and the Tusken people. There's not enough people. They need the town people, because the Krayt Dragon's too large for them to handle it. And as they're doing that, they're looking at a mock version that they did on the ground, and the Marshal goes, "That's not to scale," and the Mandalorian goes, "That's to scale," and "No, it's not to scale," and then the Sand People says, "Yes, it's to scale." And they say, then the Marshal goes, "That went on enough people." Then he goes, "We gotta have the town then, right?" So now they're gonna have another dilemma, and as they're doing that, and they drop these, they look like chocolate chips. So do we have chocolate chips in Star Wars? It's interesting. So now the Marshal and the Mandalorian have to go back to the town and convince them they need their help. Of course, the town, they think the Sand People are monsters because they just attacked and killed a bunch of them the year before. But the Marshal, with the help of the Mandalorian, they're able to convince the town that they'll have if they both work together and do this and kill this Krayt Dragon, that the Sand People will no longer come and steal stuff from the village. They'll never break the peace unless they're fired upon, and they have this pact for life. So it's a win-win deal for the town and the Sand People to work together. So they decide to work together. They prepare for it. They have all these montages, music preparing for it. The Sand People, they say that the only weakness the Krayt Dragon has is its belly, so they decide to dig this hole and plant all these bombs there to blow up the belly of the beast. And of course, when they do that, later after the montage and they're calling out the Krayt Dragon, and the Krayt Dragon comes out, they hit it at the right time and everything, but it doesn't even dent the Krayt Dragon. So now they're in a big dilemma. All they've done is piss off the Krayt Dragon. So it dives back down, comes outside the top of the mountain, and it has this acid-like liquid it's spewing on them. It doesn't have fire, it has acid, because maybe it's a sand Krayt Dragon. It's different. So it's picking them off. So the Mandalorian and the Marshal use their jetpacks and fly up to it, and they start firing on it. They're firing on it with their rifles, do nothing to the dragon. They fly back down, and the Mandalorian looks over at a bantha that still has bombs left. So he thinks of a plan. He tells the Marshal, look after the kid, the child, and he hits the Marshal's pack so it flies away. But before he does that, they get the attention of the Krayt Dragon by shooting a bomb at it, so it's coming their way. And the Mandalorian gets swallowed whole. The bantha with the bombs and the Mandalorian gets swallowed whole by the Krayt Dragon. It goes back underground. Maybe a minute goes by, then suddenly it pops back out through the sand, and it opens its mouth. And as it's opening its mouth, you can see the Mandalorian was firing inside of it to shock it to open its mouth and let him fly out. After he flies out of it, the bantha is already there with the bombs inside the beast. Instead of trying to do it from the outside, we're doing it the right way from inside. So he hits the button, explodes it, and of course, because it's inside the beast, it blows it up. And yeah, the Mandalorians are good at killing, aren't they? They're good at even killing Krayt Dragons. So, and they've won the day, and of course they're the Sand People who use everything. You know, Sand People on Tatooine are very much like in Australia they have the Aborigines, or here in North America we have the Native Indian Americans. That's who the Sand People are of Tatooine. So they're grabbing all the meat and everything, and of course then you see the Mando and the baby has a big piece of Krayt steak. I'll call it Krayt steak. And they hop on the speeder and they're riding off into the sunset, and then the screen changes and becomes widescreen, and you see these beautiful Tatooine, the twin sons of Tatooine. And as he flies by, it comes up and you see a shot, and I immediately knew who it was because I recognized the amphibian rifle, phase pulsar rifle from the holiday special, and I said Boba Fett. And as he turns around, you see it's Tamora Morrison, who is now playing Boba Fett, who played Jango Fett before. But he looks a lot older. He has no costume on. So I wonder what happened to him. How did he lose his, and we're gonna find this out in future episode. How did Boba Fett lose his armor? Did he lose the armor when he was in the Sarlacc pit? Did he get out of the Sarlacc pit by the jetpack somehow and he got knocked out and the Jawas stole it from him while he was sleeping? What happened? I guess we're going to find out. It's going to be great to see if the Mandalorian actually gives it back to Boba Fett. It's going to be interesting to see if he agrees to take it and put it back on as well, because you're not supposed to put the helmet on once you've taken it off, like they said in the first season. But Boba Fett's different, so is all the rest of them. So we got a lot of rumors about what's coming up in the future, but bravo. This was really, really, really a great episode, guys. What an episode. So thank you guys for joining us. If this is the first time you ran across our channel, please hit subscribe below and also hit the notification bell so you get notified every time we go live. We're going to be doing these reviews of The Mandalorian and Star Trek Discovery. We also go live every week, and we have a live trivia contest where we give free prizes that are all given away. That's sponsored by Order 66 Toys. But thank you guys for joining me. I'm Eric Walker. May the Force be with you. See you next week for Episode 2, Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Bye for now.